Hey, my name's Brian. I used to have really bad acne. Wham, boom, blam, whammo. But over the course of a year on Accutane, I've cleared up a lot. Now I'm in the final stretches of my treatment. Enjoy my Accutane adventures.
What's up, everybody? I'm Brian. Welcome to week 63 of my Accutane adventures. It's been such a long journey, and because of that, I thought it'd be appropriate to talk about the hardships and the doubt that come with committing to something for a long term, but the reward that can come out of it for sticking to it. So first, I'm going to talk about my current Accutane updates for this week, and then I'm going to talk about sticking to that long-term commitment, and finally, we're going to finish out the episode with a few of the fan questions that you guys did leave last week. So, updates for this week. As you guys know, I'm still sick. I'm also trying out the full raggedy hobo look where I let my beard grow out and my hair grow out because honestly, I'm just a little bit too lazy to even care about those things until I'm better. And I kind of want to see what it looks like. I've never really let myself get all scraggly, so it's kind of cool to see what it looks like. But I will clean this up before the LA Fit Expo. But onto the Accutane updates. This week I dropped down to 60 milligrams a day. So instead of being 80 milligrams a day like I was, now I've dropped 20 milligrams, so I'm at 60. My face is still dry. I still experience the same side effects. Dryness, especially around the lower part of my face, right around the corners of my mouth, and my lips are extremely dry. The most annoying thing is probably recording myself and then watching the video and editing it, and you see like little, you can even see them right now, you can see like little pieces of skin from my lips being chapped. And yes, I use chapstick, guys. I do take your advice. I try all the chapsticks, but still, your face is going to be very dry. You're taking something that's drying you out from the inside. Other than that though, I feel great. I don't have any depression. I don't have any loneliness. I don't have any sort of lost feeling. My eyes don't get too dry. I don't have nosebleeds or anything like that. So I am definitely very fortunate for what I have. I plan on being on Accutane probably for another month or two. That's what my dermatologist and I were talking about, just because we want to get it completely buttery smooth. We don't want to, stop when I still have some blackheads and then start watching them come back and then have to do a second treatment like too early. We want to just get rid of it. So while it is 63 weeks in, we're still going to keep going as long as it's safe, because my liver panels, my blood panels have all come out just perfect. And my doctor even is so confident about my blood tests because they're so exceptionally better than the average of what they're looking for that I don't have to take a blood test next month when I go in to see him again. Usually you have to take a blood test every single time, but he's confident. He's like, you haven't needed to take a blood test in the last 4 months. Your results have consistently stayed good or even gotten better, which I don't know how that happens, but I'm stoked about it. Okay, so let's talk about long-term journeys, long-term goals that you have to stick to, and you may not see results immediately or even ever until you finally get there. Essentially, I feel like that's how my Accutane journey has gone. A lot of people will clear up in 4 weeks, in 8 weeks, in 12 weeks, all the way up to 20 weeks. In my opinion, 20 weeks and being clear is super fast. 5 months, that's nothing. Whereas, you might see that as being this crazy long time. I've been on Accutane for over a year now. I've been on it for a year and 2 months, and it still feels like nothing to me. This probably comes from me having to have committed so hard to everything I've ever wanted to do well in my life. I've never had something, I wasn't born being really good at something, I wasn't like, oh, I'm an excellent singer, I was born to sing and now I just need to figure out like the fine-tuning details. It was never like that. When I wanted to do something well in my life, I had to get into whatever it was, learn about it, and then continue working at it until I built something that was respectable and that people actually cared about. For example, when I started bodybuilding, I had to really get into it, and it took me 4 or 5 years until people were even respecting me. And then eventually, after putting all that work in, it finally paid off. People were respecting me as a bodybuilder, people were asking me what my next show was, and I got what my goal was. But I had to remind myself the entire time that it was okay, the journey was okay. People not respecting you or people not believing you, people doubting you, that's all okay, because in here, I know it sounds cheesy, guys, but in here, I knew what I was gonna do. I was committed and there was nothing that would stop me from getting there, and it worked, just because I knew that I was gonna commit so hard. This also applied to me before bodybuilding. I was a soccer player and I actually played it like all of my life. When I grew up, I started at I think 6 or 7 years old, and I didn't stop soccer until I was about 16 or 17. I played on a team that got, I think it was 12th or 11th, one of those, under 12, one of the top teams in all of California, and we were gonna go to nationals and all this stuff. But at that same time, when I got that offer, I was just getting into bodybuilding, so I decided to switch over to bodybuilding. But my point is that after 8-9 years of training with, you know, an Italian professional personal coach, this coach over here, this training camp over here, these teams over here, all this stuff, after committing to it and not being good at it in the beginning and then working slowly in steps to get better and better and better and better, at the end of my soccer career, I was being offered to play on semi-pro teams and stuff. It's the same with anything you do. It doesn't matter what the journey is, you have to commit to it because nothing great comes immediately. Nothing. Everyone wants the pill that makes you skinny. Everyone wants, you know, the immediate solution to your sickness or whatever it is. Everyone wants to make money by next week. How do I make $20 a day? I want to do it now. If you can't tell me how to do it, I don't want to listen. And that's a horrible way to go about life. You cannot expect instant reward. You have to work at whatever it is that you want because that's the only way that whatever it is you're being rewarded with has weight and has value. Because if everyone could get it in a week, then it wouldn't have any value and there would be no purpose to it. So this applies to Accutane oh so 100%ly. That didn't make sense. But seriously, when I started Accutane, I had so much acne. Like if you guys have not gone back to week 1 through week 35, go to any of those videos. Just tap there, go to the middle of the video, you'll see what I mean. I had acne everywhere. Cysts, zits, blackheads. It looked like there was no possible way that all of that could come out of my face and eventually I would have skin that wasn't hosting these crazy blemishes that people were so used to seeing me with. But I knew that if I stuck to Accutane that it would work. I mean, it's not 100% success rate, but it's a pretty damn high success rate. So I put my faith into it and I committed to it and I made sure that everything was right as far as my context, my parameters, you know, taking fat with my Accutane, getting all the water in, making sure I cut out the bad things like whey and all these other things that I wasn't supposed to have, dairy and all that. And it worked. But the journey was hard and you have to remember, you have to remind yourself of the end goal and how committed you are because it all comes from the inside of you. It's called intrinsic motivation. Yes, extrinsic motivation is your friends, your family, people on the internet, people who are supporting you, and hopefully they really are. But it all turns into intrinsic motivation. That helps fuel the fire for your intrinsic motivation and that's what drives you. And if you can build your intrinsic motivation higher than any doubts, then you can do anything in the world. Absolutely anything. I'm not trying to brag here or anything, but my intrinsic motivation is so fired up. And I've done so many long-term journeys that took over 5 years that have paid off from sticking with them, right? So I understand, you know, hard work with reward. And I understand that you have to work extremely hard with no reward for a very long time until eventually you actually get to the end of that journey and you're rewarded. So when I started Accutane, and this is probably something that you're going to experience as well, when I started Accutane, I told all my friends, my family, everyone knows, right? Everyone knew, and also everyone saw my videos, which at the time were getting like no views. So everyone knew and they were like, okay, Brian's gonna start Accutane. This should be interesting. And everyone has that idea in their head that after 8 to 12 weeks, you should be clean and clear and perfect and you should look like an angel and your skin should glow like butter. So I would see these people, I'd see my friends after, you know, 2 months in and then they're like, oh man, it's gotten worse, huh? It's gotten worse. And I'm like, yeah, it gets worse. This is an initial breakout period. It should last about 2 to 3 months. So then 4 months comes along and then they're like, oh man, it's still not better. What's going on? That's weird that you still have cysts, bro. Maybe you need to like cut out this. Maybe you need to up your water. Maybe you do this and that. And they just immediately start giving you their conjecture and opinions, right? So then you're 6 months down the line, and then people are now instead of being like, oh man, it's taking a long time, you should do this and that, they're starting to say, are you sure that it's working? You know, are you sure that it's not, you know, not gonna work for you? That is one of the most discouraging things possible. Absolutely one of the most discouraging things when it comes to Accutane, and it could apply to any other journey, but right now I'm talking about Accutane. When you're trying so hard to look in the mirror every day and be stoked and be like, hey, you know what? It's okay. It's okay. You know, I still have all this stuff that I've been trying to get rid of for the last 6 months. That's a long time, you know, and it's still completely here. and I'm just trusting this pill, I'm trusting this medication, and I'm taking it every day like I'm supposed to, and I trust that after doing this and putting up with it long enough, it will eventually get better. But your friends and your family are saying, I don't know if it's gonna work, and they start to doubt you. And and then of course me putting videos online, and possibly you putting pictures or posting about it, people on the internet start weighing in, and then there's all this doubt. So my support group, around, I'd say 6 to 8 months, it went from 100% of the people watching me were saying, oh, that's awesome, you're on it, I'm so glad, I can't wait to see you clear up, it's gonna be so great to see you completely finished and clear soon, I can't wait to see you in a few months. That went from 100% of people saying that on my videos to, I'd say, about 5 to 10% of people started weighing in, and they started saying things like, Brian, I don't think this is gonna work. Brian, I don't think that your face is gonna clear up. What are you gonna do about this? Brian, what are you gonna try after Accutane doesn't work? Brian, why is Accutane not working? Brian, what's wrong with your face? It's very demotivating. You don't want to answer these questions constantly. You don't want to constantly battle doubt. You want people to be like, listen, it's okay. It's okay. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna work. You keep doing you. We'll be here to support you. That's what you want, right? But of course, I being a realist, also go into their shoes and understand too, because everything they've ever heard about Accutane is what they've heard. So they heard that there are extremely bad side effects that are just gonna make you just like nose bleeding, dying, depressed, and all this. So that's what they think, one. And then two, they've heard that Accutane should clear you up in 3 to 6 months longest, like possibly less than that even. So when you get to 6 months, they're just like, this is dumb. This isn't working. It's not gonna work. Obviously, you've tried it for long enough. For the longest time period that I've ever heard about, you've tried it that long and longer, so it's not working for you, right? But they don't realize also that that is extremely demotivating. But this is where your intrinsic motivation has to come in. This is where you have to be stronger than the people doubting you. I know it sounds cliche, but you have to steer your own ship. Too many people are peer pressured and influenced by their friends. They're told what to do, when to do it, how to do it. And if their friends are doubting them, then they're like, oh yeah, you're probably right. I agree with you. So they're able to be persuaded, and their motivation is able to be, almost doused like a fire. You have all this fire, and then your friends are like, nah, that's stupid, you're dumb, it's not gonna happen. And then you can't let that happen. You have to be the stronger one. You have to have done your research. You have to know that it's gonna work. You have to know that what you're doing, the work that you're putting in now, whether it's Accutane or any other journey, the work that you're putting in now is going to be paid off tenfold, and people will then respect it. You have to show them, you can't tell them. Too many people talk, but when you show people, they respect you. Because then they know, they really know. And when I had all these doubts coming in, even from my own family, man, even from, like people that I saw on a daily basis, my best friends and stuff, they were like, do you think it's gonna work and stuff? And they might not be negative. They might not trying to be bad or mean about it, but they're just honestly unsure. You have to be like, yes, it's gonna work, don't worry about it. Or even don't worry about telling them, just stick to it. And eventually it will work. It will clean up, you will get to the end of that journey, and it will be so rewarding. Right now, I'm not at the end of my journey, but the people who were doubting me before are now no longer doubting me. There's nobody asking me whether or not Accutane is gonna work, because you can now see my progression from week 1. It's now week 63. You can see every single week of progression. And you can obviously see that my face is a ton better than when I started. So I've proven to the people that were doubting me, and especially people who have never seen Accutane take so long, I've proven to those people that it is possible. And being on Accutane for this long, now I feel, because I've shown that it works this way, when people have to go for 50, 60 weeks for themselves, they can look at my journey and they can now use me to know, to factually know that it's possible for them. Even if they don't look good after 40 weeks and they're losing faith, they can look at me and be like, you know what? He was the same way. After 30, 40 weeks, he had so much acne left and he stuck to it. I need to remember that and stick to it. And that's part of the reason that I make these videos, is because I want you guys to see my long-term journey and see me sticking to it, and know that sticking to whatever it is that you're battling or you're dealing with can reward you and will reward you. That was quite a mouthful. I went on a tangent there. Sometimes I just have to do that, and I'm just gonna leave that one because I think there was some good information in there. I got a little passionate, but I hope I got the point across. Now, before I end up this episode, there are 3 fan questions. There weren't a ton left last week, but there are 3 fan questions, and I'm gonna answer them. If you guys do want me to answer your questions next week in next week's Accutane video, just leave the questions right here. It's best if they apply to Accutane, but they can apply to life and stuff as well. But don't ask me about bulking and cutting advice. Leave that to the other videos. This is Monday, so this is life, acne, Accutane, journeys, everything like that. So let's go to the first question. So the first question comes from Anton, I believe, and also HK Fitness, and they say, what are you gonna do if your acne comes back after you finish your Accutane treatment? Honestly, I almost am positive that my acne will come back just because it was so severe and I had to do this for so long. Likely it will come back in about a year to 2 years, and when that happens, the immediate notice that I'm starting to break out constantly, I'm gonna go to the derm and I'm gonna get right back on Accutane. That's my plan. Not necessarily what everyone should do, but that's absolutely what I'm gonna do. And immediately try to nip it in the butt with a 4 or 5 month treatment. That way we don't have to deal with this. Also, I've heard that after you deal with it the second time with the second treatment, it then stays away for even longer. And then when it comes back, you guessed it, 3rd treatment. Next question comes from Tom, and he says, what would you do if somebody made fun of your acne? Now, in the past, I probably, actually I guarantee you I would have just been super nice about it, maybe laughed with them and then be like, haha, yeah, it's bad, ha, okay, cool. And just kind of brush it off, which is, that's totally an option. At this point in my life, with who I am and who I've become, and I feel like I'm sort of, I don't want to put names on myself, but I feel like I'm sort of kind of an ambassador for Accutane and acne. When someone would make fun of me, or especially someone made fun of someone else who had more acne than me at this point, I would probably give them the spiel. I'd probably give them the I'd break it down to them philosophically, be like, listen, what's wrong that you're making fun of other people? Have you ever had acne? Have you ever had an issue? Have you ever had someone make fun of you? Is there any reason that you're talking down to this person who is exactly the same as you as far as being a person goes, just because they have an issue with their face? You wouldn't do that to someone that had a disease or a deformity that they were born with, right? I would try to break it down to them and get them to just step into some other perspective boots, so that they can see the world from someone else's perspective, but likely that wouldn't work. But I would still try, and I would still give them the whole spiel, even if I had a bunch of zits in my face and I was talking to them like this, just like, ugh. And the last question comes from MK, and she says, is there any other facial regimen or wash treatment that you're using while you're on Accutane right now? Honestly, you're not supposed to do anything while you're on Accutane just because your face is already so sensitive and irritable, so you're not supposed to put like a bunch of benzo oil or whatever on it. But what I will use when I'm working out and I finish my workout and want to go wash my face afterwards is this little product that I got from my dermatologist. It's called Aquanil, and she gave me like 100 of these little sample bottles, which was really cool because the whole thing probably costs a lot of money. But it's made up of, I think, glycerin and cetyl alcohol, which I know you guys are gonna get all up in my butt about, but it works fantastically for post-workout, getting the sweat and dirt off your face. But currently I'm not taking anything else. I'm not doing any, scrubby type things, exfoliation type things, or peroxide or anything like that. I'm completely 100% naturally just dealing with it. Just cold water, that's it. After Accutane, I may try something else, but I'm not really sure what I need to do. If I feel like I need to clean my face because my face is breaking out, then I will really look into it, but likely I'll just find a very gentle cleanser that I'll use in the morning and night. But I will update you guys on all of that. You will not miss anything at all, because I know how important it is to you guys, and just as important as it is to you, it's just that important to me, because I want you guys to know, and I want to be transparent for you guys so that you guys can understand what I'm doing and how I plan on treating myself, so you guys can get a good idea, or at least understand anecdotally what worked for me. Woo! All right, guys, that was a long episode, but I think there was some good information in there. I think there was some serious gems in there. I think, some people can really learn from this episode. I really hope so, at least. Thank you guys so much for coming in here and checking this out every single week, coming in and supporting. I appreciate it so much. If you do take some screenshots while you're watching this, post them up on your Facebook, on your Instagram, tag me in them. I'll come through and like and follow and leave all sorts of love on that. If you did enjoy this, please like and comment as well so that I can know and get some feedback. If you have questions for next week, leave them down below as well. And if you guys want to support me and my clothing company, you guys can do that. BeyondTheWeek.com. I'm wearing it right now. I actually never wear anything but my own clothing. So if you guys want to support, do that. It's awesome. It helps the channel, helps me, it helps me get out there, and I'd really appreciate seeing you guys in those clothes. Thank you guys so much for coming in and supporting, watching the video, and showing me all the love. It means more to me than you guys have any clue about. Thank you so much. Team Beyond the Week, Big J.
Lift heavy or die MIRIN!
Yeah!